In this video, we are to discuss on assume mean, and we are to take a question on assume mean. This is the question given. We are asked to use 62 as our assume mean to find the mean, the variance, and standard deviation. How do we go about it? Solution. For more on this topic, you need to subscribe to this channel. Now, we have our mark and we have the number of students, which happens to be our frequency. Now, what do? We first look for our mark, which is the values of x, our observations. So first, we have mark. This becomes a column. We have number of students. This is our f values, our frequency. The next thing we'll have our x values, our values for x. We'll also have our values for the difference, which is x minus a, which is the assumed mean. We'll have our values for fb, frequency times the deviation. We also have our values for d squared, and we'll have our values for fd squared. So these are the different columns we'll have while treating this question. These are the different columns we'll have while treating this question. Now, the first thing to do is to rewrite this out properly. 45 to 49, 50 to 54, 55 to 59, 55 to 59, 60 to 64, 65 to 69, 70 to 74. We also have one part here, which is 75 to 79. We also have our frequencies to be 3, 9, 13, 15, 5, 4, and 1. Now, how do we get our x values? That is our class interval. How do we get our class interval? We just say this plus this divided by 2 to get individual values for x. So 45 minus 49 divided by 2. So we have 20.5. 50 plus 54 divided by 2. 50 plus 54 divided by 2. We have 52. Sorry. (45 plus 49 divided by 2 is 47. We have our assumed mean to be 62. We have our assumed mean to be 62. So x minus individual assumed mean. X minus 62. X 47 minus 62. 47 minus 62. We have negative 15. 52 minus 62. We have negative 10. 57 minus 62. 57 minus 62. We have negative 5. 62 minus 62. We have 0. 67 minus 62. We have negative, we have 5. 72 minus 62, 72 minus 62, we have 10, and 77 minus 62, 77 minus 62, we have 15. Now we have f. F multiplied by this will give us this. F multiplied by this will give us this. So 3 multiplied by 15. 3 multiplied by negative 15, which is negative 45. 9 multiplied by negative 10, which is negative 19. 13 multiplied by negative 5, which is negative 65. 15 multiplied by 0, which is 0. 5 multiplied by 5, which is 25. 4 multiplied by 10, which is 40. 1 multiplied by 15, which is 15. Now we have d squared. So we square the whole of this. If you square negative 15, you get positive answer. We have 225 for this. This, if you square negative 10, you get 100. Negative 5, you get positive 25. You get 0, you get 25. You get 100. And 15 will get 225. Now, f multiplied by d squared. F, this is f, multiplied by d squared. So, 3 multiplied by 225. We have 3 multiplied by 225. Will give us 675. 9, which is f, multiplied by 100, which is 900. 13 multiplied by 25. 13 multiplied by 25, which is 325. 15 multiplied by 0, we get 0 again. 5 multiplied by 25, we got 125. 4 multiplied by 100, we get 400. And 1 multiplied by 25, we get 225. That is it. Now, we now have to find the mean. We'll start with the mean. We have to find the mean. We should not forget that our assumed mean is 62. I can write it here, assumed mean. Our assumed mean is 62. Move over to this side of the board. So we'll have to delete this side of the board and we'll start taking our question one after the other. For more on this topic, you need to subscribe to this channel. our A, which is the mean. Our mean, which is assume mean plus summation of FD all over lies summation of the frequency times the deviation. And we have assume mean to be 62. So we can write 62 here plus summation of F multiplied by D, that means this. Summation of FD is equal to. So we add the whole of that. We have negative 45 plus negative 90 plus negative 65 plus 0 plus 25 plus 40 plus 15. We have negative 120. Negative 120. So we also need this summation of F, which is equal to, we add the whole of it, 3 plus 9 plus 13 plus 15 plus 5 plus 4 plus 1. We got 50. So we move over to this side. Our assuming is 62. This we got here is negative 120 divided by summation of F, which is 50. So we have 62. We say 120, negative 120 divided by 50. We get 2.4. We got 2.4. Or we say 50 multiplied by 62. 3,100 minus 120. Okay. Minus 120 all over 50, which is the same thing as 50 multiplied 62. 3100 minus 120 divided by 50. Now we know this part. Of course, the second is variance, we remember, and the third standard deviation, we remember. For more on this topic, you need to subscribe to this channel. Now we have 3100 minus 120. We have 2980 divided by 50, which is equal to 2980 divided by 50. We got 59.8. 59.8. 59.8 becomes our mean. Now, the next we have to look upon is the variance. How we calculate for the variance? How do we calculate for the variance? We'll still use this part of the board because we need this part. We calculate for the variance. This is the mean. This is how we can calculate for the mean. So we now go into calculate for the variance. That's what we mean. We can write it out. Our mean value is equal to 59.8. For more on this topic, you need to subscribe to this channel. Alright, we also have to calculate for the variance B. They said we should calculate for the variance. The question said we should calculate for the variance. And the variance is given as summation of f of d squared all over summation of f minus summation of f of d all over summation of f squared. Now, summation of f of d squared, we've not calculated that. So we have to add the whole of this to get summation of f of d, which is equal to summation of f of d squared, which is 675 plus 900 plus 325 plus 0 plus 125 plus 400 plus 225. We have 2650. So we have it here as 2650 divided by f is 50 minus summation of fd, just fd is negative 120 all over summation of f is 50. And we have that square here. So of course this will go with this. So 2650 divided by 50 minus negative 120 divided by 50 squared. So we have this to be 1 making it snappy all over 25, which in turn will give us 47.24. Therefore, our variance is equal to 47.24. We can as well find the standard deviation C. The standard deviation SD is equal to the square root of the variance, square root of 47.24, which is equal to. So finding variance is quite simple. Finding standard deviation is quite simple. It's just the square of the variance. Whatever we get in our variance, that's the standard deviation. So we say square root of 47.24. It gives 6.87. 6.87. So there's 3. So this becomes our variance. This is our standard deviation. And the mean is 59.8. For more on this topic, you need to subscribe to this channel to get more on statistics. Now, we are discussing on assuming mean. Assume mean. If you follow the processes, we have our class mark or our mark, we have the frequency, and we produce our values for x from the class mark. That means this plus this divided by 2 to get this. This plus this divided by 2 to get this. That is how we computed this. Now, the deviation is x minus a. That a is our assumed mean. Our assumed mean is 62. So we subtracted all the values we have here as against 62. So this minus 62 to give us this. 52 minus 62 to give us this. 57 minus 62 to give us this. And that is how we read it. Now, we have f of d. That means the frequency multiplied by the deviation. Now, this is our d. These are frequency. So this multiplied by this to give this. This multiplied by this to give this. That's how we got it. Then our deviation square. Then our frequency times integration. That means our frequency times our deviation square. That is how we got that formula. So for more on this topic, you need to subscribe to this channel to get more tutorial videos on statistics.